All right, and just like that, we're live. What's up, guys? Thanks for hanging out with me today. My name is David Glenn. I'm a pro mixer, and we're going to be taking on a pop song. This is actually a mix that's already finished. We're going to let you listen to that, prove to you I know what I'm doing here, and if you guys have any questions or want to see any particular spot in this mix, we'll go ahead and answer those questions live on the stream. But this is my man David Baltavari. It's a song we mixed. It's been a minute now, and we're gonna just break this whole thing down here on YouTube, and then take questions as we go. But plenty to talk about right now. We're gonna start with the drums, but I tell you what, why don't we listen before we do, and we'll talk about it. All right, awesome. So we'll play it to there and start talking about the drums. So again, if anyone joins, feel free. Let me know where you're coming from, what's your name, and what genre do you mix? You mix pop? We're going to be featuring a ton of worship and gospel on this channel, but we got some makeup work and some things we're working on. So we'll feature some streams and just keep hanging out and answering questions. So let's talk about the drums. This one right here. The original drums, let's actually pull in. I think I have the original kick in the session still. The producer's original choice was not bad at all. And if we turn all this stuff off, I think this is the original. Let's go listen to that. Okay, and so what I thought was we need a very defined low end. We need a tight, punchy kick that's really just knocking, right? Like as much low end as I can put in this without distorting. Maybe even with a little distortion. I don't know. We'll see how much we can get away with before it sounds bad. But that kick to me wasn't cutting it, and so I went through my sample library and I started picking apart. I hadn't mixed a ton of pop or hip hop at this point in years. And whenever I pulled this up, I thought, man, I got to go through my old samples and see what I can find. I don't know if I recall the exact sample, but we went from this up here to this. And we'll go ahead and turn, well, just the raw sample even. Okay, and those are the subs. I also have the punch. I have a sample for that. We'll play both of them and do a fair comparison here, back and forth. Okay, and then what we started with. So I think choosing a new sample was the right call. I'll play it here with the plugins on. Yeah, it's a big difference. Okay. So respecting the realm of the original sample, but just making it hit. And so we put that away. And choosing good samples is really the first part of it. Now, dealing with phase and all that, we'll talk about that. But just at its core, this low end was much better. So that was where we started. I added the Tokyo Dawn Labs Infrasonic. This is something my buddy Joey Fernandez told me about. I think it was him, probably. And I was messing with this around this time to try to find, like, hey, how can I find the sweet spot for the kick? And this is what I arrived at, these settings right here. So you can hear there's much deeper, less, I almost said upper fundamental, if that makes any sense to you guys. But the punch was a little higher up. With it on, with it off, it's a little lower. It's a little, I don't know, too pillowy maybe. But this certainly, the high pass filter is gonna affect that low end. And so we had that, and then I used K-Clip with multiple multi-band here. So we're hitting this pretty good. Let's check out before. Actually, here's with it, and then we'll take it out. And so I'm really just trying to get the most out of the kick drum, and I'm clipping it in across the multiband here to really just, excuse me, it's been a minute since this mix. I see what I'm doing now. It's actually just in the low band. I'm boosting the subs to clip them and not messing with anything else. And so really just trying to make the most out of the low end and bring that forward as much as I can. And so often I'll bring that forward really far until I get the distortion, and then I'll dial it back a little bit. Next up, we had this EQ, and I don't know that I ended up doing anything with it. Yeah, no, I didn't. So this is, I can just go away. And so that's it. It was the sample, the high pass filter, the K-clip, and then I'm sending to the bass. We'll talk about that in the bass video, where we're pushing the bass down for a split second there so the kick can win that low end battle. And then I blended a kick called Kick Punch. And so I went through my buddy Joey, talk about him all the time, mastering engineer. He's got golden ears. I'll put a link to Joey's mastering services down below for you guys. But this was a kick in a folder that Joey and we've created and shared samples for years and years. And this is one that was one of his. Let me take this off. You can hear it in its full. Okay, and I like that, but I didn't want the top end. I already had a vision for what I wanted, and I didn't want it to be super top end heavy, but I knew I didn't want the subs either. And so what am I going for? I'm going for kind of that low mids, the punch. I called it the kick punch. And so we went from a bold to this, which this kick really needed. Without it, we just have the subs, but yeah, the punch, and that's going to help us on all kinds of the smaller systems. It makes it sound more like a kick drum and not a sub kick. So those two are working in tandem. Let's see, what did I do for the settings? I think I choked it a little bit here. The 6 and the 10 there, that's important. And that's it for this one. So pretty cool to just choose good samples, make them work together. I always check phase. So when I pulled this kick punch in, I made sure to invert the polarity and check and make sure I get the best sound from the samples. But and you can see I actually did do that for these EQ moves and whatnot. And that's something to maybe note here. So when you choose the sample, invert the polarity and trigger, or whatever, if you're dragging them in or however you're replacing them, but make sure that you check phase in stages. Don't always just think like, oh, well, I'm in phase because I checked here and I inverted or whatever. In this case, we didn't. But then these EQ moves caused it to go out of phase from what it was at trigger. And so you need to check here as well. Invert the polarity and make sure you're checking phase. What's up, Kevin? Dude, I appreciate you, man, hanging out with me, huh? So so what was I saying? So just make sure you check phase. So if I come in here and I start messing with distortion and saturation, I may also go ahead and flip the phase or invert the polarity again to make sure that what I've done has not, because most likely it has. So it may not shift it enough to cause, or you may shift it in a way that you like, but just always check in and making sure the phase is on your mind there. So what have we done? We looked at the kick sub, we looked at the kick. That's it. And so that's going to the all drums bus. We'll come down and show that off down here. Water flowing downhill, getting to our buses here, all drums. And in this song, that's it. Virtual mix bus. I wanted that kick to clip. I wanted it to hit as hard as it could. And I didn't want compression or anything else in the way. And so we'll see what's the gain staging like on this one. Yeah. So typically I'm hitting, and Kevin will know, hanging out with us here, typically I hit this virtual mix bus pretty hard. I've even been known to peg it, have the red light like, yelling at me. But if I don't hear distortion, I don't care. I'm listening for the saturation quality that it gives. And oftentimes I'm hitting it pretty hard. In this song, I'm not. I just wanted that kick drum to be, just to get as much as I could out of it and clip it. So the buses are affecting it, but we'll break that down in a future video. Let's move on. Let's talk about the snare drum. And again, just choosing good sounds. The producer chose this one. Let's turn everything off. Hear the raw. Start with a good sound. You're going to get a good sound in the mix. Here's with the VMR on it. Adding some top end and some attack. Okay, so with the snare, I'm pulling forward the attack. We got that kick clipping, hitting hard. We need the snare to compete and for them to play off each other and that to sound good. And so wanted more attack. I'll also play this in context so you guys can hear that against the mix, but more sustain and more transient, pulling it forward. And then top end, getting it just to sit where I liked it. I had some 12K, some 7K here. And yeah, that's about it. Just what I was hearing in my head, just adding some top to make it come forward. Let's see in context, what does it sound like with and without the processing? And I'll tell you what, while we're working on the drums, we'll mute the vocals. So change the texture of it a little bit. It's a little more aggressive, a little more bitey, and I was digging that. So what was I just doing? The all drums bus, and then the effects, my reverb is actually going there, but so is the vocal. So let's mute the vocalist. And I'll tell you what, let's put all of this. Is this in a folder? No, it's not. Look at all that. Okay. So let's create a folder for her, move to, and we'll call it right on. And we'll just mute it. So we got that tambourine with some verb. I would even say the decay on this could come back a bit. We got the reverberation, time, damper, frequency, cool. So we're gonna pull that back like a 1.5. It was how I like to typically set. Well, that's not true. Often I'm setting my reverbs for snare so that the decay ends when the next snare hits. So just before, so that you get a nice clean extension. That's one way to do it. Maybe a half note, could be a quarter note, could be a timed decay time. That's always cool. Nowadays I like a little tighter sound, but this one we're going for that splash, and I think we got that. Let's hear how it's splashing now with a shorter decay time. That feels so much better. It was a little too long. Yeah, so now with the shorter snare reverb, the tambo comes in and which has that longer. Now there's like a contrast between them where it was before. Just a simple move like that. It was a little messy before that. So, hey, if you're watching, don't be shy, man. Let me know in the comments what's your name, where you're watching from, what part of the world are you in, and then if you guys have any questions, let me know. If I'm breaking it down and you want to, I'm here to answer. So, you know what? Before we go too much further, let me let you know I've got free links down in the description. If you're watching this back, would love to invite you to check out the free mixing on headphones guide. I am a multi-platinum mixer, and I've done 90%. Maybe fair to say 80% of it mixing on headphones and from a laptop even. And so would love to help you with that, serve you, and give you some good info, show you exactly the system I'm using, how I'm doing it. And then, of course, we got courses and all kinds of stuff down there for you. So let's see, what are we doing? We took a look at the snare. So we had, again, a little boring, but we had good snare sound. So just enhance it a little bit, try to do something for bringing it in to the against the kick there, the aggression. Let's talk about the snare verb. This is the Lustrous Plates, Liquid Sonics. And you can see I had that there. It's Slate Digital, right? You get this with that bundle. About 1.5 seconds, we changed that to, you can see the settings there, but just a verb. It's got a cool plate sound. And then dialing back, as I often do, sometimes I'll high cut, low pass, and cut top end to clean up verbs. In this case, I just wanted that kind of mid-range, to come back a little bit, especially 3 to 5K is a frequency range I often am paying attention to, making sure it doesn't stay harsh. If it is, I'll dial that back. All right, next up, tambourine. I think he had these in here. I don't think I added these. Yeah, those are his. So, okay, but what I did do to the first section, I didn't do it to anything else in the song for some reason, but I shortened the decay time of the first tambourine, and we have alternating hits. And so we have short decay, long decay, short decay, long decay. Let's check that out in solo. Cool. Maybe the timing could have been a little bit better. Would have helped maybe to blow up the GUI there so I could have seen it. But yeah, in the context of the mix, what does that sound like? And so let's check that. Cool. So with the vocal in there, you're not going to hear quite the error in my my timing, but the concept is cool. And I think it works, especially with the vocal in. But that's what we were doing there. As far as processing, we're just compressing the snot out of it, it looks like. Not even, just a tickle. Just hitting the transient, knocking that transient down with a faster attack, fast release. And we're moving on. Let's talk about these hats. What's up, Julian? Producer from Miami. What's up, man? Appreciate you hanging out with me. Let's go to the hats. What do we got? Let's hear the original. Something I often do. I picked this up years and years ago, early day, teenage years, back the DigiDesign User Conference, the Duck. I don't remember if it was Kenny Joya or who it was talking about modulation effects on hi-hats for pop or hip-hop. And that's just been a thing I've always done. So threw this in. That's from the 11 rack. Still have one of those in the closet somewhere. And then the hats, we're dialing back the top end a little bit, smoothing them out. So volume difference, but we obviously softened them. And then shout out again to Joey. Whenever he went to master it, we were talking and he's like, let's get those hats to move. Let's get something happening with them instead of them just sitting on top of the track the whole time. And so I was like, well, let's try Brower in Motion. So we put that on. It sounds like this. So we got some movement. You can see it's kind of going around a little side to side. I did dial back the mix knob quite a bit, so it's not super cheesy, but nice clean way to get the hats. And let's check those out. We'll do a little by hand volume match here. Here's with it. Yeah, so it's not like super in your face, like, hey, I'm moving all over the place, but it's got a nice vibe to it. I dig it. And then we have the crash. Nothing really to this one. Let's turn off the processing. Let's check it out. Cool. Sounds good. Just some top end to help it sit on top a little bit better. And then if we hit play, let's just listen to the drums. So pretty simple beat, but it's holding it down, man. Let's hear in context. We'll plug her back in. I'll tell you what, the vocal is pretty important to the song, and it comes back in and just right there in your face. Love it. So what are we doing with the stereo bus here? I'll show you guys. This is in my template now. Goldfoss, been a go-to. Very different settings on this record than most. I was really just trying to get how much low end can I get away with. I mixed with a sub pack behind me, and I can feel the difference between, reference tracks and mine. And so I want to make sure that mine shakes the sub pack or the subs as speakers, if not as bad, the people who mix this stuff day in and day out. And so this is a genre that I have a lot of experience in it, but my experience in hip hop was more so when hybrid was more popular. And not so much mixing completely in the box. And so it's been a while, but it was a fun one to do, and I certainly was using Goldfoss to give me like how much low end can I get from this. And then next up we have VTM. This is going to give us a nice low end bump, and it makes a big difference. We'll come back and do before and afters. I did catch myself a little bit with the gain staging there into this particular unit that I had never used before until this mix. And again, this might have been a Joey thing. My mastering engineer, one of my best friends, telling me, "Hey, what do we got going on here?" And we'll just let you be the judge. We'll hit before and after here in a second, let you hear what that's doing. But this is not something that I am using all the time. It just worked on this one. But then we get to Ozone, and we had some lift going on, some cut to the mids. This one, yeah, the EQ is in. We got stabilizer, impact, adding some transients. Usually this module tries to cut transients, and I'm like, oh, we got to turn that off. But then stabilizer, yeah, and then dynamic EQ. I think I usually turn that off, but cool. And then I did choose to go to, I was using clipping. I got K-clip, clipping a little bit into the limiter. But I had to play with this, and I'm really liking the way that this is feeling, the Pro L2 over the maximizer that Ozone gave me. I'm sure if I pulled up the maximizer and had to play with it, I'd probably pick a better one. But this was sounding pretty good, and I have it dialed in to prevent too much distortion on the final output. So with that being said, those are the things that are affecting it. Let's go and let's listen to the drums, since that's what we're talking about here. I'll tell you what, let's go. We'll mute the vocals again, and we'll play the drums, and we'll show how much that 2-bus is affecting the, and we'll mute this stuff too. Now you might be saying it's more open without and this and that, but so I mix through these things, and so I don't even know what it sounds like without it. It's pretty cool that it's not like massively different in this particular scenario. It's certainly more top end without my 2-bus, but I'm okay with that because I feel like the end result is what mattered, and that. But it's kind of cool to see. So let's go Goldfoss and give you maybe a step-by-step breakdown of what it sounds like with and without each of these. So here's with Goldfoss, and then I'll turn it off. So you can hear it's much tighter, it's reined in, and it feels finished rather than out loosey-goosey on its own. And so Goldfoss, love this thing. Check it out if you haven't already. VTM, you're going to hear a massive shift in the low end here. Again, I'm mixing through all of these. So decisions I make throughout the entire mix process are made with these in mind. And so if I turn this off and it sounds crazy, just remember, I didn't hear that. Here's on. I don't know. I like the frequency curve that gives us, the low end bump. And it almost feels similar to Goldfoss. It has a little bit of that low mid cut kind of thing happening. I may be wrong about that, but phase is definitely something's happening with the kick drum and phase because it's resonating that in the frequency. It feels like it at least. So not sure. We have to pull Plugin Doctor out and give a look at it one day. But what's up? A couple of comments. What do we got here? Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. If you haven't already, let me know where you coming from. What's your name? What part of the world are you in? K-Strings said, hello, Dave. I'm a music producer and artist from Nigeria. Lives in the UK. Big shout out. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for hanging out. And you said, been following for many years, 10 years. Man, I appreciate you. Isn't that wild? Man, how did we get here? That's crazy. Man, I appreciate you. Yep. Man, how many years? So I started with the Pro Audio Files in 2013, I think. 2012, 2013. It might have been 2014. But that was the year I launched the Mix Academy. So, man, over 10 years. It's wild. Crazy, crazy times. So we heard that one. That was just a volume dip. So we'll leave that alone. This guy here is going to be, if I remember correctly, was that upper mid-range stuff. Let's leave it on and then we'll turn it off. Yeah, so it's certainly pulling forward the mid-range. Where are we actually boosting on this thing? We've got... Everything looks to be... Was this just in my temp? Is it just doing what it's doing behind the scenes? I don't even know. Oh, no, here we go. Boost. Yeah, so we got a boost to, 3K. That makes sense for Joey to tell me, hey, 3K, we need to address that. I spend so much time cutting it. Oftentimes it's a little bit much on the finished product, but that's okay because I'd rather boost a little bit here and make up for it than have to go to every track and deal with like harshness again. So pretty cool, better maker. Then Ozone, this was Ozone 10, and I think we looked at it briefly, but we're boosting low end, we're cutting mids, and we got a hair of top end. This is again their stabilizer. And so we've got the similar thing to Goldfoss. I need to look up and see what the difference is. What I think but Ozone analyzed it, and I just listened. I used my ears. I wasn't thinking, I already have Goldfoss. I can't also use the stabilizer. I don't think like that. If Ozone's analyzing it and it gives it to me, I'm always tweaking it almost, but I'm at least going to give it a shot and see what it's doing. And in this case, I liked what it was doing. I didn't turn it off. We'll go through each module maybe and see how it's affecting it. Let's do that, and then we'll kind of wrap up this first video as part one, breaking down the drums. Not like a live drum kit where we have tons of mics and stuff happening, but and we'll look at some automation we did. But coming here to Ozone, let's look at the individual modules. Yeah, so it's affecting it, but it's not like earth-shattering. Remember, this is on the bus, the 2 bus, so everything in the song is going through this and making a difference. So I'm not even sure that it's relevant to solo the drums and do this, but at least we'll kind of hear it. I think the stabilizer, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but Goldfoss stabilizer, it's reacting to the entire mix. And so when you solo it, it's not giving you a true representation, really. Yeah, at least that's how it feels in my head. You guys let me know. Man, that's wild. What else? We got some comments. Darius, I love it, man. Hey, we're coming. I've got Dr. Toomey on deck. Any hour now or day now, we'll be mixing a ton of gospel. Didi from Cape Town, right on. Man, a few of you from South Africa. That's awesome. Almost 1 a.m. That's great. Thank you. Luke and Deidre, is that how you say that? Right on, man. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Let me know if you have any questions about what we're listening to. I have a client that hired me to mix this and to do the mix breakdowns, and he allowed me to share this with you guys. And so, just breaking this down. But if you hear something, you have questions, we'll keep going. Let's check out the stabilizer. Let's see what's happening with and without it. I'm going to look into what these are doing. I like it. It doesn't matter, really. I like it, but I'd like to learn what's going on and maybe play with the controls a bit more on this one. But I really like it's like the control that it has on it. It's really nice. Good name, stabilizer. Okay, impact. This is adding transients. Again, weird. I typically mix pretty aggressively with transients and then find myself having to like compress harder at the bus and grip on things a bit more. But in this case, we've got Isotope recommending. I'm almost insulted that it's saying I need more transients, but I kept it, so I must have liked what it offered. So let's take a listen to that with it, and then we'll turn it off. Yeah, I'm going to tell you in solo, I like it without the impact, but I imagine with everything in, I don't know. It feels like it's giving me a little bit of dissonance with my kick drum that I'm not feeling, but we'll leave it for now. We'll play it in the whole with everything, and then we'll see what happens. I may turn that off. Let's go dynamic EQ. I usually do turn the dynamic EQ off, but I did feel like there was a couple spots in the vocal and with the snare drum that this was smacking down, and I liked it. So let's check that out. In and then out. It's really just a snare, and I'm not mad at that. So next up, we had a match EQ, and I'm pretty sure this is still in the session. If I bypass it, I hear it. But I had the subscription and then reached out. Dave Godowski, president of artist relations over at Isotope, hadn't talked to him in a long time, and he hooked me up with all the newer stuff. So this still works. I left it in. This is an older session, but I do have an instance of the newer Ozone 11, and we're just a little bit of a low end bump. Looks like the mids here wanted me. So if you're not familiar with what this is EQ match. And so what I did is I have a reference track that the artist wanted me to look at. It gave me a whole bunch of them actually, and this is one that I picked that I like the tightness of the low end. And so let's tell you what, if you haven't already, hit like for me, subscribe. Let's get to the 18,000. I think we're almost there. From this stream, but the second I hit play on this, YouTube's gonna no monetization. So check out the free stuff and the courses, and we'll just not worry about YouTube. But what I would do is I'd hit play on the reference, capture that in the Isotope's match EQ. Okay, so and then similar beat structure, but and then ours, what I would do is come over and then stop that and then capture my mix. Cool, and then I would be presented with this, and it would say, hey, maybe a tad more low end, maybe clean up the punch of the kick, maybe mine was a little much. Low mids were a little more on the reference, and then here maybe my vocal is louder, so dip that. So it's giving me the curve to more closely match the reference track. And so this is, I say it all the time. You guys hanging out in the stream probably have heard me say this, but I use this almost as a crutch sometimes, where getting at the end of the mix process and we're just trying to put fresh ears on it. And I'll pull this up and do EQ match. What I recommend doing, and what I do sometimes, not all the time, is I look at this and I say, okay, well, maybe, I mean, what lives down here, right? Below 50 hertz, that's our kick drum and our bass. And so maybe give a little shelf to the kick or the bass. And then you could look in here and say, well, it's recommending that we control everything from kind of 30 to 100 hertz a little bit better, dip that a bit. You could decide, no, I don't want to do that. And you could leave it alone. Or you could say, sure, let's go to the kick drum and let's just back off and maybe put a bell and dip some of that down. And so you can see how you can reverse engineer it. Go to the top end. Top end's not going to be your kick or your bass probably. So vocals, cymbals, whatever's living up there, and you can see what it's doing and then maybe go make those adjustments. So we can learn from EQ match, or you can learn from it, tweak it, but then maybe keep another instance of it like I do. I don't know, it's a crutch. But I don't know, those of you guys who are with me that are gospel or modern worship mixers, you'll know my reference when I say Paul's thorn in his side. EQ match is the thorn in my side. I live with it. I keep it. But you should reverse engineer it, maybe go back to the track. So, okay. And then we also, something that was affecting the drums was the parallel compression chain here. And so we have the whole mix comes into mix A here and hits this. And then mix B is sent from mix A. So A is sending into B, and it's parallel compression. So right here, this parallel mix bus is sending the processing from mix A into mix B. So all of this stuff is now funneling into this compressor and this compressor, and it's getting hit pretty hard. If I isolate that, you'll hear it really low, but so you can see I'm relying quite a bit on that parallel chain. That's not common for me, honestly. Usually most of my sound is coming from here, but I felt like this one, I was gripping on it so nicely. I felt like it sounded good. I wanted that more up front and to send more signal into the clipper, which is here on the mix bus, clipper into limiting here. But yeah, quite a bit. I'm actually kind of shocked there's that much of it in it. But yeah, compressing in stages. Let's show the exact settings on that. We can maybe show this when we get to the videos where we break down the music and we'll talk about the stereo bus. But for now, how are the drums affecting it? Let's go mute the vocals. That should take care of it. So this first one is a pretty simple, just catching the snare transient, it looks like. Yeah, so it's catching the kick a little bit too. Often what I teach and recommend and do often is come to the sidechain filter and lift that up until you have equal amounts of reduction from the kick and the snare. And whenever you get that, it could be a 1 dB, 3 dB, 7 dB, it doesn't matter. On this parallel chain, I usually hit a little harder, but this first one, just catching the peaks, similar to mixing a vocal, kind of mixing the whole mix like a vocal. And then a little faster attack on this one. What was my attack on this guy? Yeah, so I started with the slowest attack. I wish it would zoom in for you guys whenever I use the key command. I can zoom in with the trackpad, but it doesn't look like Ecamm for the stream. So yeah, so the second one, I'm gripping a little bit quicker on it. So we got a faster attack on the second compressor and probably more reduction. Cool. And then that gets blended in parallel, and then the two, mix A and mix B, go to the mix bus. And I know the labeling is a little bit weird, and I've misspelled bus in this template. We'll correct that. And that hits the clipper into the limiter. So there's a method to the madness, but it's once you break it down, makes a little more sense. So Those are the drums. Let's hear everything back in. Put the lead back. And maybe go to where my man David has his hip-hop, his rap.
Szeretni sem tud, aki másokkal fenyeget, egyedül elfut, legszomorúbb szava a világnak, bárcsak másoknak fáj, ha vidámnak látnak.
Miért fáj, miért fáj, miért fáj, miért fáj?
Az élet egy útjába tekintek vissza a virágnak, lefele hullik a szírma, míg lélegzek, harcolni tudok, míg harcolni tudok, alkotni fogok, a nevetés a lelkem csillanása, győzelem a kitartás igazsága. Szeretlek önmagában semmit, az ígéret, ha nem tartod be semmit, egy kapcsolat bizalom nélkül semmit, semmit nem ér, semmit nem ér. Ha nem tanulod meg mindezt, az egész élet semmit nem ér, semmit nem ér.
Megtanultam, nincsen véletlen.
You know, something that we may be able to do to tighten this whole thing up a little bit, it's going to affect the drums. I was playing with this before going live. Forgot about this, is this guy right here. I tend to mix very much like this genre where the kick and the snare kind of stand out pretty far forward down the middle, right? Whereas you have a drum kit often, not always, but often you want it to feel like one instrument. I don't know if that's ever the case in modern music, but not often. And so what I'm trying with this, with the Pro MB, is I'm thinking, let me bring some glue to the kick and the snare and the center channel, the vocal, the stuff that's right down the middle. And it trick I learned from Joey, and it kind of elevates the sides as well. So when you're compressing against the middle, it kind of evens things out. It can smear it, and so you got to be very careful with it. But a couple dB of reduction, or even a little more sometimes, can work. And let's mess with it. Let's see what we get, and have a play with it and see what happens here. Let's go back where there's...
Aki nem tud bízni, szeretni sem tud, aki másokkal fenyeget, egyedül elfut, legszomorúbb szava a világnak, bárcsak másoknak fáj.
Say, well, let's come out here to the...
Várattam az életben, csak az Isten tudja, hányszor vétkeztem. Megtanultam, nincsen véletlen, minden fájó emléket megértettem. Elfáradtam az életben, csak az Isten tudja, hányszor vétkeztem. Megtanultam, nincsen véletlen, minden fájó emléket megértettem.
So it's obviously a little louder as well, but man, I'm kind of digging that. I'm not sure that I care either way. I like both. I like the open, dynamic, a little more punchy, but then this one feels more glued. I would even say it maybe even feels more finished. So let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? Could you tell a difference? First of all, let me know. Could you tell a difference? And then do you like it with or without this mid-side compressor? Let's go again. We're going to go with it.
Várattam az életben, csak az Isten tudja, hányszor vétkeztem. Megtanultam, nincsen véletlen, minden fájó emléket megértettem. Elfáradtam az életben, csak az Isten tudja, hányszor vétkeztem. Megtanultam, nincsen véletlen, minden fájó emléket megértettem.
I'll tell you what, I kind of like it. I like it both ways. It's hard because with it is louder, so it's easy to. But no opinions. Come on, man, help me out. Which one do we go with? Guys, got to let me know. So those are the things that are affecting the drums. Obviously, clipping and then the limiter. But you can see the way that I'm clipping it. Well, and especially now with the Pro MB, I don't think I'm even doing much limiting.
Várattam az életben, csak az Isten tudja, hányszor vétkeztem. Megtanultam, nincsen véletlen, minden fájó emléket megértettem. Elfáradtam az élet.
So the limiter really just is protection on the back end of the clipper, making up words now, the clipper. So there you go, man. Those are the drums. If you guys are enjoying this, we will feature the bass. And you know what? Let's go ahead and do the bass. We're hanging out. You guys want to do that? I don't know. I got to get some response from you guys hanging out, though. You got to let me know. Should we do the bass? Tell me yes in the chat. If I see even one person say something, we'll go ahead and cover the 808, the bass, whatever's going on there. I don't know. Might have to do the bass in its own video then. You know what? I got to give you time to answer because you don't even... So now I have officially said that. We'll see, man. All right, we got a yes. So I had to wait for the latency. All right, so let's go ahead and cover the bass. We've got a synth bass. Let's hear the original. And did I copy? Nope, there's 2 separate tracks. So we'll look at this one first. Okay, and then here's with the processing. Okay, so not that different. The biggest thing you're going to notice, I think, is when I put that kick in with the bass, let's go ahead and do that. You're going to feel the kick pushing the bass down pretty aggressively, super quickly, gets in, gets out. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing this so aggressively is because I want to make sure that that kick, I can get as much low end as possible without distorting my limiter or my 2-bus. And so if I allow, there's only so much room, right? And so if I allow the bass, which oftentimes I do allow the bass and the kick to move the low end, but in this case, I just wanted the kick to push it, wanted the bass the heck out of the way, kick win, and then the bass just quickly kind of comes in. And so this is more aggressive than I usually do this, but in this song, I definitely just wanted to make sure that kick hit and nothing was competing with it in the sub-frequencies. We'll turn it off. Especially there on the multiple hits back to back. I think you can tell that that's locked down a little bit tighter. Gives a kick the win. And yeah, so next up we had an EQ. Felt like the subs in this were a little bit much at the initial part. Again, I'm dialing in. I had my heart set on getting that kick drum to just rock speakers and make people happy. So dialing in the bass to make sure it didn't have as much low end, so the kick could win that battle. And then for whatever reason, I put on a Pultec. I didn't even use the UA one. I've got, what is this, the Waves. This may be because David Baltavari, my client, has this plugin. That might have been why I chose this one. But yeah, so we're doing the Pultec thing, seeing how much low end can I get away with. Let's leave it in and then we'll turn it off. Yeah, you can see, hopefully you can hear the low end and how those subs are more prominent with the Pultec on. And then we have a dud, nothing on here. And then we have R bass. And we're creating upper harmonics with R bass. And so it's looking at the fundamental and it's creating a harmonic that's above based on the settings we have here. We just, the default of 80 hertz. And let's hear that in and then we'll take it out. And so for me, what's happening here is I feel like I've got the kick positioned solidly in the sub-frequencies. I'll tell you what, I'll just explain it quickly. I was going to put full camera here, but what I feel like I've got is the kick and the sub-frequencies, and then now the bass was kind of down here, and it's up here in the frequency range that I wanted to have. I smacked the mic. I need to switch mics. And so now they're kind of like glued together more because they're hitting more together in the frequency ranges that I want them to. So listen again without R bass, with that explanation, you'll just kind of feel like a letdown, a dip in the low mids of the bass. So here's in, and then we'll take it out. Yeah. And so it feels much more cohesive, the low end. Now, I did have Melodyne on this, but I'm not sure it's going to show it to us because it was an older version of the ARA. It's like when ARA first came out with Pro Tools. Let's see if it'll... I remember pitch shifting. There it is. I think I went through and pitch shifted and placed the different notes more squarely on the note. And then, if I remember correctly, I took some notes that he programmed and I shifted them down, some up, moved them around a little bit. But I'm not sure, and I don't think it's showing that right now. So, okay, cool. Bass. We also have this bass track. Let's take a look at this one, what it's doing. Without Me. Oh, I still got to put my license on. I emailed them. They emailed me. This is a new Mac Mini. Man, let me see. Demo version. I think it's still running fine, but I won't be able to show that to you until I put my code in. So we'll come back to that. It's basically pumping, right? It's pulsing. Kickstart. Look it up. Great plugin. And then Murder Melodies. When this first came out, I did a video and just thought, hey, I'll just put it through its paces, see what it's about, and I really liked it. So when I'm thinking effects, if I need a quick effect for something, this is a great plugin to just kind of throw on, turn some knobs, and you get something that's usable. Sounds really good. So this with nothing on one more time. Let's go to a different section. Is it the same every? Yeah, it's the same part every time. Okay, cool. And I'm going to go ahead and say, I think that Pro MB is helping it, but the low end is not consistent, and it's kind of overwhelming a little bit in the sub. So I'm just going to compress against this. Okay, yeah, it was a little bit overwhelming. Let's back it up and feel the transition into that. Gotta unsolo, yeah.
Megtanultam, nincsen véletlen. Megtanultam, nincs véletlen.
So it's way more consistent there. Hopefully you can hear that here. I'm gonna play it again, leading into that section, and I'll bypass it, and you'll hear it. It's just gonna come forward almost too much.
Megtanultam, nincsen véletlen. Megtanultam, nincs véletlen. Elfáradtam, nincsen véletlen. Megtanultam, nincs véletlen.
Yeah, so that's way more consistent. Just putting some finishing touches on it. And then we have a distortion bass. So let's go check this out up against, wrong. There we go. So we have, let me see here, the synth bass again. And then I duplicated that. So there's many reasons why we add a distorted bass. And you could do this with like a multi-band saturator like Saturn on the actual synth bass track. But for me, duplicating it and having control over the EQ and everything, and I like to get pretty creative with these in all genres of music, really. We'll have, even gospel, will have a little bit of some like a saturated bass tone to it. And then I may automate it, bypass it, that kind of thing. But let's talk about this. We've got the original is the same as the first track. Okay, low in volume there, but Saturn is my go-to on bass guitar and synth bass. I love this thing, and we're just driving the snot out of it. So it's 100%, and it's the lead amp. It's probably like a Marshall, unrecognizable with a synth bass going through it. But again, just now you can see a couple of things here. I'm noticing, again, this is an older mix, but I can almost tell you the dynamics knob being turned to the left, that's going to be more like a gate. And I can hear why I did that, because there's an overtone going on. And I bet if we pull this back to here, yeah, so that's not lovely. If we put that back, so we're getting the distortion, but then we're using the transient shaping tools that are in Saturn to be able to dial that back. It's a great way to gate snare drums too. We'll show that in a live drums video. Let's go ahead and look at this one. Again, just compressing against it. Oh, that's for the kick drum. So, and I've got the kick drum pushing this one down as well and higher, because there's higher tones, right? There's low mids and mid range in this one. And so just making sure that gets pushed down and out of the way. And then I've got a high cut, cleaning up top end that we didn't need. And if we play that with the drums, it'll sound a little cooler. Okay. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and show, if we take a high cut filter, and you know what, we've got presets. Let's go grab our emulations. My man Doug Weir over here has got the NS10 emulation. We also have an Aventone. I think this is his. So this is the Mix Cube, and so we're going to emulate that now. You'll hear this as well. You guys, when you watch my stream, you got a clean signal. So nothing's, no sonar or nothing is impacting you guys, and I've got my headphone calibration down here. So let's take a listen. Now we'll both hear this though. Cool. Now I'm using quite a bit of it in this song, but we've also got quite a bit going on. Let's hear that. Okay, so now listen in context to what happens when I mute the distorted bass. It's gonna, you still hear it a little bit, but it's not gonna be anywhere near with the vocals and everything. And right now, I don't hear as much distortion as when we had it soloed. So blended to taste, but let's check it out. Here's in, and then I'll take it out.
Elfáradtam az életben, csak az Isten tudja, hányszor vétkeztem. Megtanultam, nincsen véletlen, minden fájó emléket megértettem. Elfáradtam az életben, csak az Isten tudja, hányszor vétkeztem.
Massive difference, right? If you don't hear that difference, we need to check your listening environment, because pretty substantial difference with and without the distorted bass. And in the context of the track, we're not hearing all that distortion, raging on. So cool. Little my concept held up against a live test there. So what do you guys, still with me, hanging out? Got a little bit, got some people hanging out. I think that's about it. So let me know. I'll give you a minute to hit me if you guys have any questions. This is going to wrap up this first video. We got the drums and the bass done. And then I've also got multiple songs from this artist. If you guys like the pop stuff, we'll probably do that in the Mix Academy's membership. But we'll put links for all of that in the description. We're going to be doing way more gospel and modern worship on the channel. But inside TMA, we'll mix it all. So YouTube likes that when you focus on one genre. So we're going to give it a shot. But for you guys hanging out on the live stream, you can trust we're going to mix all kinds of stuff inside. So cool. Well, I'm going to take a look at the the comments, I think we're just about wrapped up. And with that, we're going to move on. In the next video, I'll put a playlist together for these. We're going to talk about we'll go ahead and probably just hit the piano. We'll hit the different guitar parts. We got all kinds of what's going on in the piano here. So we took some liberties with the piano. Pretty rad sound though. So, well, we'll show that in the next video. I don't see any more comments, but you guys rock, man. Thanks for hanging out with me. Don't forget to check out the headphones guide. I'm going to show you how I'm mixing with headphones. Actually, I'm going to update that. So check it out, and then I'll have an email out this weekend. We're going to get a revision to it, show you exactly the modifications I've done to my setup. But it's kind of like that awkward phone call. Don't know how to end it. I'm going to go ahead and just close it down. But thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys. K-Strings, I appreciate it. And Luke, right on, Colin. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks again.